This person just lost over $100,000 making the dumbest financial mistakes, and most people are doing the exact same thing.
My worst financial mistakes over the last 7 years have cost me nothing short of 50 to probably 100,000. And I'm sharing these mistakes today because I think so many people are making them and they don't even realize it. But also, I want you to avoid them. I want you to grow your wealth faster, and I want you to make smarter money choices. And this is coming from me, financially responsible 31-year-old who owns 3 different businesses, one of which is an ambulance, which is such an amazing business to actually serve people. But also, I'm now building wealth globally. I get to travel, be in different countries at any time, building my businesses, and it's because I know better, and I want you to know better as well. And I feel like it would be criminal of me to not come on social media and actually share this, because I talk about wealth, finance, and self-improvement, and I talk about all the amazing things that I'm doing, and most people do that. We talk about the 5%, but we don't talk about the 95%, which is not so great. So grab your pen and paper and let's get into it. Number 1, I made one of the worst investment mistakes that I think pretty much anyone can do. And that's because I wasn't investing in a tax advantage account. I started investing over 7 years ago when I was living in Ireland. Honest, it kind of wasn't my fault. When I was living in Ireland, they didn't have any tax advantage investment accounts. This is essentially an account that allows you to invest after tax money, and every single profit that you make tax-free. And that's one of the reasons I actually moved to the UK. And this account in the UK is called a Stocks and Shares ISA. In the US, it's actually called a Roth IRA. And in many other countries, it's called different things. So if you're investing right now and you're not investing in a tax advantage account, know that every single bit of gain you make is going to be taxed. For example, you invested $300 into Tesla. In 1 year's time, you made a profit of $200. That $200 would be taxed if it's not in a tax advantage account. Whereas if it is in a tax advantage account, it's tax free. You can withdraw it at any time and spend it how you like. This is one of the money mindsets that you need to adopt. Imagine you saved £10,000 10 years ago in a standard savings account that was giving you a return of 1%. That's really, really bad. Today, 10 years later, the money in your account would only be worth 11,000. But if you took that 10,000, you invested it into something like the S&P 500 ETF, which is tracking the top 500 US companies, that would now be worth just short of 20,000 without you having to do anything. And that's the power of investing. And so if you're not investing, then in my opinion, you're not even on the baseline of building wealth. And what I love about these tax advantage accounts, they're not just for us. We can actually use them to invest for our children as well. So in the UK, they have a thing called a junior ISA, and in the US, they have a thing called a custodial Roth IRA. And I'm pretty sure they have different other names in different places in the world where you can actually invest for your children. So imagine you're putting away, I don't know, £100 a month. In 18 years, that could be a lot of money for your child that can be used towards their college, or even maybe if they wanted to buy a house or a business. These are the types of strategies we need to be implementing today if we want to build wealth, not just for ourselves, but for the next generation. Mistake number 2, and this is far more common than you can imagine. And this is essentially buying a brand new car. Exactly what I did in 2022 when I bought my brand new Tesla. I was accustomed to having new cars. I was working with the leaders in robotic surgery at the time for about 4 years. And in that space of 4 years, I'd gotten 2 brand new cars, Mercedes and a brand new Ford ST line. So I was just used to that. And that car probably cost me just something short of 60,000 euros. And I think to myself now, that 60,000, if I'd invested that over a period of 3 years, because we're now in 2025, without a doubt, I would have over 6 figures on that alone in my investment account. But now I have a car that I use, which I love and is really valuable for my work, however, is depreciating in value. Please only buy cars that are used 3 to 4 years, because then you get the true value of that car at that time. It's undergone that massive depreciation, and you have an asset that's actually worth the value. Even just driving that brand new car out of the lot, it's lost like 10%. But in the UK, brand new cars lose about 15 to 35% of their value in the first year. Think about all of that money and what you could have done with it. Invested in the stock market, deposit for a house, a starting point for your business, invested for your children. Mistake number 3, and I feel this should be a whole video in itself, and that's the financial impact of dating the wrong person. I'm going to be honest, I was in the wrong relationship, and being with that person was actually horrible for my finances. That person did not have the right mindset around understanding how to invest, how to build wealth, even just climbing up the corporate ladder to build 9 to 5 wealth. That person was very much content. And it's crazy how that energy rubs off on you. Look at how many people get divorced. The main reason is contempt and just not being happy, but the second is to do with their finances. And so I think I'm at a stage now that when you're going into dating, you're into marriage, if that person's financial mindset does not match yours, they're probably going to break you financially, mentally, and everything else. And if my partner needs to match my financial mindset, if you are dating someone who is not good with their finances and they don't want to get better, and the idea of having a joint account with them terrifies you, y'all need to have a serious conversation, because it doesn't get better with marriage. Heavy on, even if you're married, if you guys are going to start businesses together, you're going to buy property together, everything needs to be in a contract. But trust me, when money is involved, love and everything else very quickly separate. And what will remain is the contract that you signed before it went left. Tip number 4 is not job hopping sooner. I actually worked with the same company for about 7 years when I immediately graduated from university, and that was in robotic surgery and robotic bronchoscopy. But the problem is, people don't realize is if you stay in the same company and you're not getting promoted, you are effectively getting poorer every single year, even though I know you're gaining more skills and you're definitely working more. And that's because if they don't increase your pay, even just to stay in line with inflation, so let's say inflation's at 4%, and it costs 4% more for everything else in the world, goods and services, but your salary is still the same, then this year you're 4% poorer. And if that continues and you still don't get any promotions, every single year you're in a worse financial position. And statistics have showed that those who job hop every 2 to 3 years are far better off financially than those who stay in the same company. Because let me tell you, loyalty doesn't pay anymore. It did for our parents, but the landscape of employment has completely changed. So that was one of the mistakes I had. I should have job hopped sooner, but also I should have looked for more equity. You see, most people, when they're fighting for compensation, they're always looking at their salary. They're not looking at the total compensation. And so when I was working with my company, I would get equity, so I would get stocks. I wish I negotiated for more of that, because the people who actually get rich in their 9 to 5 don't get rich based on just their salary, but they get rich based on the equity that they get. So many tech companies, and that's what I work for, they actually give you stock in the company, so they could give you maybe £50,000 worth of stock every single year. Increases in value as the stock price of that company increases. And that is, in my opinion, probably one of the best ways to become rich as a 9 to 5er. And mistake number 5. I didn't have the right strategy when I was launching one of my businesses, which was actually my hair business called Project Hair and Beauty. And it was kind of different to everyone else. Everyone else was selling human hair at that time, but I wanted to bring a different spin. I wanted to have synthetic wigs that mimicked human hair, so that means you could curl them, you could straighten them, but more importantly, they were super affordable. And I was doing hair since I was like 13. I had like my hair businesses in uni, so that was my thing. And the reason I got into this is because I saw the massive opportunity. But I saw a competitor in the UK, I think it was something Labello something, and they were doing something similar to what I wanted to do, but I wanted to do it in Ireland. But the problem is, I didn't do enough research when I was actually starting that business. So I went and got my provider and literally spent like 15 grand on stock, but I didn't actually research, did people want that type of product? Should I just start with pixies, or should I do ponytails? And because I did very little market research, and even very little market research on my competitors, because I just saw them as being super successful, and I said, oh, there must be so much opportunity. No. They were investing heavily in their influencer marketing, spending thousands and using influencers, which I was not doing. So many people do what I did. You think that there's an opportunity for that business because you see someone else being successful, and because your friends and family say, oh, that sounds amazing, Sarah, I would buy from you. But we need a lot more than our friends and family to buy to make it a viable business. Also, many of us make the mistake of just buying the product before asking the market, do they want to buy the product? What I probably should have done is had the website, the pictures of the hair, and got people to pre-order, because at least then I know what ones people want, and then I will only use their funds to buy the wigs that they want, so I'm not going to lose money. If you not start a business without a plan, and so even for the businesses I have now, the non-emergency ambulance, we had a very strict business plan that this is how we're going to acquire customers, this is the marketing budget, this is how we're going to fund it, everything. Remember, When you fail, you only fail if you don't learn anything. But if you learn and you apply it, then you can be successful.
The reality is most people are making these same mistakes without even realizing it. Not investing in tax-advantaged accounts, buying brand new cars, staying in the wrong relationship financially, not job hopping strategically, or starting a business without proper research. All of these can silently drain your wealth. Every financial choice has a ripple effect. Not investing in the right accounts means you're handing money straight to taxes instead of letting it grow. Buying a new car? That depreciation is essentially a hidden loss. Staying in the wrong relationship can sabotage your financial goals because money habits, or the lack thereof, compound over time. And not negotiating salary or equity, or not switching jobs when opportunities arise, means falling behind year after year. Even launching a business without testing the market first can cost tens of thousands before you even know if anyone wants your product. Here's the takeaway. Awareness plus strategy is everything. Learn from mistakes, plan carefully, and optimize every financial move. Build for yourself, but also for the next generation. Money isn't just about income. It's about smart decisions and multiplying your efforts.